that as well. If you missed it, Princely is now in the transfer portal. I think that's number 12 or 13 for the Gators. And get your thoughts and comments on that. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. And it's our Heisman Trophy voter and our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing?
Well, Shane, doing well. We're waiting on the Heisman Trophy ceremony coming up on Saturday night. All the votes were in Monday at 5, and then they announced the. It really is amazing as many voters as they are. The votes were in, and they've got the finalist after the 5 o'clock deadline. It was like 7 o'clock. You knew who the finalists were, so that they can do it pretty quickly. We will see how it goes. I think we probably know how it's going to go, but at the same time, glad to be a voter in the bowls and the transfer portal, and we're less than 2 weeks to National Signing Day or the early signing day. So it used to be December. There was nothing going on. That's not the case anymore.
Brent, I think it's going to be a landslide. Am I crazy to think that?
Nope. I think you're right. I think it will be too. I mean, we're. I mean, it could be. To me, it's going to be who's going to be second, as much as anything else. That will be interesting. But yeah, I think we know who the winner is going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Reggie says on Facebook Live, Big Jordan Seaton, the big offensive lineman from IMG, he commits today somewhere. We'll find out. I don't know what time that is. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Melton Law. It says, Brent, what percentage of the higher profile players entering the transfer portal do you think know exactly what school they're going to end up signing with?
Maybe I would certainly say less than 50. Look, the transfer portal, and Shane and I have talked about this for years, is not the perfect situation for a lot of guys. And again, the thing we need to remember is you can get in the portal and you can come out of the portal, or you can sign with another school. So I would hope they'd have a plan going in. Sometimes folks just get in the transfer portal just to do it. Now, this was as of yesterday at 2 p.m. There were 135 SEC players in the portal. I won't go into all the schools. Auburn had 13. Florida had, at this point, they had 6. Georgia had 11. Vanderbilt had 17. Man, that's a lot. And A&M had 10. So if that would give you a little bit of indication of what's going on in the portal, in the SEC players who are in it from the schools, that were the results from yesterday.
Yeah. Chris says, if transfer portal players know where they are going, doesn't that mean there was tampering? That is happening, Chris. It is tampering is like no other right now because there are no rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that majority of, if you are your high profile guy, you have talked to someone with an institution to either pay you more money or you're going to go there and have an opportunity to win a bunch of games.
Right.
It's out of control and it's only going to get worse until they regulate it in some capacity. Brent,
Yeah.
obviously, no, we haven't talked to you since the 14 playoff. You know, I know you have a lot of Florida State fans too. They're very upset, but I think the committee did the right thing. I still think the committee screwed the Georgia Bulldogs, quite honestly. But a lot of this just has to do with the ACC, the conference.
It is.
That's the problem.
Well, and this is what I've told folks over the last few days is now there's no doubt that that's the real problem. I mean, I know that there's talk of let's sue somebody. Well, who are you going to sue? You're not going to sue the NCAA because the playoff and the playoff committee is not associated with the NCAA. It's a different entity. The other problem here is was a lack of schedule strength that also hurt FSU. I mean, you had Alabama's strength schedule was 5. Florida State's was 55. That of the teams that we thought would go into the playoff, Florida State's strength of schedule was 55. Now that's not Florida State's fault. That is the fault of the conference that they are in, and they even added LSU to the schedule, which helped them with that too. So what do you do now if you're FSU? Well, as Shane said, and I've heard this from some FSU sources, they are going to double down on getting out of the league, and that's really the thing they need to do. Now they got to find a home first, and who's going to take them, and we don't know who that would be. And again, there's a lot of money involved. But look, before you the money you're using to try to sue someone or make T-shirts or whatever it is, and I get that, you could be using and doubling down to get out of the conference. The other thing, look, and Shane, look, Alabama, the SEC are not their enemy. The problem is too is their own commissioner Phillips, and I'll be brief about this. 2 years ago in 2021, the ACC joined the Pac-12 and the Big Ten in this silly alliance because they were mad at the SEC because the SEC was expanding. So what was on the table that was about to go through before they formed this alliance was the expansion of the playoffs this year, not next year, but this year. But this silly alliance delayed it a year, and that was a problem. The other problem is the system. The system has gone beyond its usage. Look, we've been extremely fortunate that we haven't had this happen before now. To where we've had a team that should have been in the playoffs that was left out of the playoffs. But fortunately, that's going to be taken care of next year when we expand to 12. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than what we've got now. So, Shane, my thing is when FSU fans ask me about this is, look, celebrate your undefeated season, celebrate your ACC title, but use your money and your energy and channel that toward getting out of this conference and getting a fresh start.
Very, very true. All right, Coach. We've had some coaching hires at some different schools around the country. More will come. But any of the new ones surprise you? The Middle Tennessee surprised the heck out of me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Mason getting hired, the former Vanderbilt coach, was interesting. Derek Mason. Rick Stockstill was there for a long time, and Mason was Vanderbilt's head coach from 2014, 2020. So I think maybe the best hire, Houston hired Willie Fritz from Tulane, who is a big-time coach in a lot of ways. Now, there'll be obviously more hires to come along that line. So, we will keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm with you. I was surprised about Mason getting hired.
Yeah, if I was Middle Tennessee, I either would have kept Rick Stockstill because I don't think it's an upgrade with Derek Mason, and I would have, or at least hired a young guy that would have been fun to watch.
Sure.
They're going to be boring as hell to watch for sure. Rodney says, many times I think about the great players of the past who were never compensated the way players are today. I can imagine how many of them feel. Yeah, I'm with you right there. Thunderclap says, Princely said he will return depending on the staff hires. Somebody also said he did not go into the portal for money. I don't buy that one bit. That's why everybody's going to the portal.
Yeah.
And like
It's
I
all
said, a
about
lot of
money.
guys are going in the portal thinking they're going to get signed by schools, and they're
Right.
not.
Right.
There's
That's
going to be
true.
so many, and there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
Gators that have entered the portal that will not be signed by a school. I
Exactly.
firmly believe that.
Yeah. Well, and look, and let's be honest, and I think you're particularly seeing this with these quarterbacks. They're going into the portal to kick the tires and to see how much more money they can make.
Mhm.
That's going on there too. But your point, and we've always made this, there are a lot of red shirts and also just pure freshmen who go in the portal thinking they're going to get that the grass is greener somewhere, and they end up being stuck in the portal, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Um, Question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. It was about what does losing Princely to the transfer portal say about Billy's relationship with his defensive players? I think it says that they're looking for more money. And it's not just at Florida, it's everywhere.
It
I mean,
is.
Florida State's great defensive end, we talked about him yesterday. I can't remember his name, number 11. He's going in the portal to try to get more money. It's all
Yeah.
about money. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, look, Dylan Gabriel is on his third school in 3 years at quarterback.
Yes, that's true.
DJ Ugalele is going to be on his third school wherever he signs this year. So it's all about money. I don't care what anybody tells you publicly on Twitter or whatever. Yeah, kids that sign with Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, they're going for the money, but they're also going with their opportunity to probably be in the playoffs next year.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it is all about how much money I can make right now. Um, and I don't blame that. I mean, that's the mentality of today's athlete. And
Sure.
honestly, some of these guys need to do that because there's only a handful of guys that make it in the National Football League. So, um, anyway, Brent, SEC Coach of the Year, were you surprised at all about Eli getting it?
No. And he earned it. I mean, Missouri had a tremendous year uh, this year, and they've also got one of the better bowl games too. And they've got a real look. They've got a real opportunity to have an unprecedented year in a lot of ways. Now he signed an extension and got a raise toward the end of last year, to his credit. Um, but they really were. I mean, they were tremendous. They gave Georgia fits, as with basically everybody else. So no, that was richly deserved in what he's done. One thing he did that was important, Eli Drink with the Missouri, was, and he said this at media days, and I repeat this a lot, but it's important. He said, "I have given the play calling over to someone else because we need somebody different doing it." And he said it's too much for me to handle. And I thought that was very revealing that a coach would say that out loud.
Yeah, we got a bunch of text here. Let's get to these real quick here. Brent, get your thoughts on them on the Titan and Mar text line. This one says Willie Corn played QB under Billy Napier at Clemson. That's true. That's the connection there. Also sounds like Ed Ogeron is legit and will be announced Friday. The people that I've talked to, which I don't have a whole lot of so-called sources, they say that ain't happening. I don't know. Have you heard any? Do you have any sources
I've,
on that,
I've
Brent?
I've heard more that it's not true than it is true. But again, right
Hmm.
now, we'll be open and see what happens with it. But I mean, with the look, coaches want to coach, and I understand they wanting to get back into doing so. And maybe Orgeron is tired of, or maybe he's bored, for that matter. But no, I've heard more no than yes, but we'll see.
This text from Alan in Atlanta says from the Who Cares department, Willie Corn was a QB at Clemson while Billy was the OC there. They know each other. That's the connection. Simple as that. The last 2 years, Coastal Carolina and Liberty put up big numbers, but does that mean anything? Who knows? Yeah. So if Willie Corn is the new OC, people sit here and complain about us hiring up and comers all the time. They're going to be bitching and complaining on this program next year, I'm sure.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure.
so um, This is from Philip in Enterprise, Alabama. He says, back in 93, the undefeated West Virginia Mountaineers got passed over by the AP voters in favor of the one-loss Seminoles. The Semis went on to beat Nebraska for the Natty, and West Virginia got destroyed by the Gators. I may be wrong, but I don't recall governors or senators getting involved back then.
Well,
Good point.
no, I don't think they did at that point. That was a long time ago. But that is a good point that West Virginia had best year they likely ever had during that time, and it wasn't enough. So a good point for bringing that up.
Another text on the Titan Mart text line asked Brent if FSU being snubbed as an undefeated team will sway the Heisman voters to vote for Jordan Travis. No, he wasn't even going to. He may have been invited, but if he didn't break his leg. But I think people do not understand what Jaden Daniels has done in football this year.
Yeah, right, right. I mean, what he's done. I mean, he has set records that we probably may never see again. Hopefully, it will from someone down the line. But for what he did, and listen, I heard this week. It was a great point. If they had had a defense, they might be in the playoffs themselves. LSU.
Yes. Michael in Tennessee says here, Mullen had been recruiting. The Gators would not be in trouble. They are now. He made it known he hated recruiting. I think Coach Napier is trying to right the ship. It's going to be a long process. Like you said yesterday, the O-line needs to be fixed first and foremost, as the defense does this too. So, and then this last one here says the FSU defense player Peyton deleted the tweet that he said he's going to the portal. He may have gotten a better offer from FSU. That's my point right there. All you got to do is, if you're a good player, just send it out publicly.
Yep.
Even though you ain't talked to anybody, and then your people are going to contact your collective and work something out probably. So, all right, Brent. So let's talk about real quickly what you think about the Michigan-Alabama matchup. You like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big matchup. I mean, the two teams are similar in some ways to where they are line of scrimmage teams. They run a lot. That doesn't mean that J.J. McCarthy's not a good quarterback, because, I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback, and he's been effective for them. Game in the Rose Bowl will cause a lot of attention. But, I mean, there are a few things that I think I mean, Michigan's just very conservative with their defense. Over the 5 games since the start of November, Michigan's offense passed for 1 touchdown and rushed for 15. Pass plays of 40 yards or more. Alabama has 17 and Michigan has 4. So, I mean, they're both successful. They just do it in different ways, but it will be there'll be a lot of eyes on this game for sure.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Arkansas, both KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders going into the portal?
Yeah, a little bit. Now, what helped Arkansas was Landon Jackson coming back. He's one of the better defensive players in the SEC, but Sanders, when he's healthy, Sanders 2 years ago was tremendous. He was healthy. Last year he wasn't. That was a problem. I mean, in 2022 he ran for 1,400 yards. I mean, that he caught 28 passes. So whoever gets him is good, and if he's healthy, frankly, is going to be tremendous. And I'm curious what you think of KJ. I've heard people say he may need to lose some weight, get a little quicker. He's a behemoth, hard to bring down. And hopefully he'll get another chance. Shane, his big thing was he's just been hurt most of his career.
Yeah, it's surprising how he's been hurt as big as he is. But yeah, I think he's overweight. He just got to find the right system. I don't think he has zero chance playing in the National Football League. And I think this is going to be like his 7th year. It'll be interesting to see who gives him an opportunity. Mac on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, has a good comment here. Can a player be forced into the portal by their current institution in order to pare back their rosters? In other words, can an institution rescind player scholarship? Technically, you don't do that because if you take away a kid's scholarship, that kills you recruiting that kid's high
Sure.
school.
Sure.
But with the portal, when you have your exit meetings, Coach Brent Beaird can sit down with you and say, hey, we like you here at the University of whatever. You play outside linebacker. We got a couple kids that we really like coming, in this class. You can stay here and compete, or we'll help you in the portal any way we can. That's
That's
kind of
right.
that's their way
Yeah.
of cutting you.
It is. Look. Well, what coaches do is they help the player find another school. Is what it amounts to. But Shane is exactly right. Some of these guys are nudged out the door, but they will cover themselves and how they label that, shall we say. But a lot of this, you've got an early signing period coming up in a couple of weeks, and some of these guys leaving and going to the portal. Is that team or that coach making room for more scholarships?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Georgia's backup quarterback Brock Vandergriff has transferred into the portal, already committed, got a
Yes.
deal for Kentucky. I don't know if he'll be a part of their bowl game. Hell, he could have possibly been their starter in this bowl game because
Yeah.
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 Could you imagine
Good
that? He
point.
starts for Georgia in his last game and then goes and plays for Kentucky next year because I don't know. Carson Beck is still kind of on the fence whether he goes pro or not, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. That has not been decided. Now, look, I've heard rumors, and I'm going to say they're rumors, that it's not fact that Carson is asking for a lot of money. I mean, I've seen as much as $4 million. Um,
Jeez.
I'm not saying that's true
There's
at
not,
all.
Brent, you realize, I bet there's only 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League that make more than $4
Hmm.
million dollars
Right. Right. Oh well.
on
So
their current contract per year.
I
That's
mean, he
nuts.
needs look. This is his first year as a starter. I appreciate him being in the system, but he also needs to come back. I mean, he's got growth
Mm-hmm.
that he needs to go through. And again, with Brock Vandergriff with Kentucky, now they had Devin Leary this year, and that didn't work out real well. Although they did beat Louisville at the end of the year, and let's be honest here too, Shane. We don't, as they say, we don't know if Brock Vandergriff can play dad in a cowboy movie.
You're right.
How good is he at this point? Congrats to him, but we don't know that, do we?
No, we don't. We have no idea. He was a 5-star, but he has never played it at
Right. At
at
Georgia.
Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah. So LSU is reportedly they're looking for a quarterback in the portal, as is Mississippi State. So it'll be interesting to see Mississippi State's best wide receivers in the transfer portal. I don't know. Boy, if I was him, I'd revisit that because now he
Yes.
may just be trying to get more
Yes.
money because they're going to be throwing the ball a lot under Jeff Levy.
No doubt.
Missouri picks up the so-called number one corner in the transfer portal from Clemson.
Yeah. Toriano Pride is his name. I mean, he's a really good player. Clemson had a lot of guys who are leaving. Tell you another school who did too, Shane. And the last thing South Carolina needed were their skill position players leaving, but Juice Wells, their wide receiver, is in the portal. He's been linked to Texas and Tennessee. South Carolina is hosting Rocket Sanders from Arkansas, and South Carolina's leading rusher, Mario Anderson, we understand is going to enter the portal too. So again, man, oh man, that's tough news for South Carolina, who needs all the skill position players they can get.
Yeah. Amy says Louisville should be looking for a quarterback in the portal. They did get one, I think, yesterday or the day before. Tyler Schlau
Right.
from Texas Tech, I believe, is going to Louisville. Um, Mike Elko's making some hires. He hired the offensive coordinator, the old Colin Klein, the old quarterback from Kansas State, which was interesting that he left his alma mater. They must be paying him a
Yeah.
lot of money there.
Oh, well, they do, and they can, as we know. A&M's had as much movement as anybody has. Elijah Robinson, their D-line coach, is going with Fran Brown of Georgia to Syracuse. So, as you mentioned, Klein is going. Klein, we understand, turned down offensive coordinator offers from Notre Dame and Penn State to go to A&M. Walter Nolan, the heralded defensive lineman, was rumored to be going to the portal. That's not necessarily true at this point. Elko's bringing over some of the Duke staff like Adam Cushing and their cornerbacks coach from Duke, Ishmael Aristad. So A&M's had as much movement here and there as any school in the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. What I tell you, one guy that's in the portal that I would love to have, and I think he's a damn good player from Vanderbilt, the wide
Will
receiver Will
Shepherd.
Shepherd.
Yeah, look, he's tremendous. 6'3", 247 catches, 8 touchdowns. Vandy's has 17 players in the portal, and Shane, I believe, I think like 3 of them are quarterbacks. So Vandy is going to be looking for a quarterback to say the least. And remember, Will Rogers is in the portal, the Mississippi State quarterback. So that will be interesting to see. Does he stay or does he go?
Yep, for sure. In the ACC, Clemson added 2, I think, solid football coaches to their staff. 2 guys that I know that I like a lot, and Matt Luke and Chris Rump. Pretty good hires, don't you think?
Yeah, excellent hires. Both those guys have been around the league. Matt Luke, obviously, with Ole Miss. Chris Rump's been a little bit of everywhere. So, yeah, I would agree with that. Rump was with the Vikings and the Bears for a while. So, yes, really, really good hires. And I think Dabo is being very proactive, maybe more than normal. What I want to see is, Shane, and you probably do too, how active is Dabo going to be in the transfer portal?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see on that. Zach has a question or a comment here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. I feel the Gators are getting left behind in this period of adding portal players. Look at Auburn Vols, Kentucky, for example. I don't know I don't know who Auburn has signed out of the portal or Tennessee. I know Kentucky got Brock Vandergriff, but um, maybe Billy, they approach it differently or they're looking for certain players. And again, it's got to, I try to tell people, as much as I hate to say it, that kid's going to decide where he wants to go. You have to take your orange and blue glasses off because whether it's money, whether they like that school or like that coaching staff, they got buddies on the team. We don't know all the different reasonings behind why a kid chooses to go somewhere, right? I mean, that's just my thought process.
Yes. Well, let me comment on that real quick. If you're a Gator fan, do not get caught up in what everybody else is doing because they've got different needs. Look, you've got a situation. I'll give you one. 2, Alabama's going to lose most of that secondary, so they've got to be rather active in the portal to fill those needs. Now, and the thing is, fans look at other schools and all the transfer guys that they're getting, and as Shane said for a while, just because you get someone from the transfer portal doesn't mean that he's going to fit your needs and it's going to work out. So, I get why fans do that. I understand it, but different schools have different needs. The same thing goes in recruiting, and don't get caught up in looking at all the numbers thinking you wish your school had the same amount of numbers because their situation is different, right?
Yep. Greg asked on Facebook Live, are all ex-NFL coaches that are hired good? No. In my 14 years in the NFL, there were multiple coaches on the staffs that I'm like, how is this guy coaching in the National Football League?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, coaching is usually all about who you know. Chris says on YouTube, when will people wake up and realize Napier isn't the future for Florida? He hasn't proven anything. That's not our job. Nothing we can do about that. Lenny says, Shane, without announcing replacement coaches on DL and cornerbacks, aren't we handcuffing ourselves? Not necessarily. Um, look, I mean, that's what they're doing. It's out of our control. Nothing we can do about it. And just hope they find some good players and some good coaches. All right, Brent, you got any nuggets for us?
Always got nuggets. Boise State also hired Spencer Danielson. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. As their coach, and maybe a name a lot of people don't know. As we mentioned earlier, Tulane's Willie Fritz is going to Houston, and Derek Mason is going to Middle Tennessee State. Caleb Williams is not playing in the Holiday Bowl. And this is one I wanted to mention too. Jeff Sims, amazingly, is on the move again.
Oh, and if anybody gives him a scholarship, they're going to bench him like Nebraska did, just like
Yep,
Georgia
yep.
Tech did. He cannot play quarterback.
Look, Sims, and he's a Jacksonville kid, but for his career so far, Shane, he has 31 touchdowns and 29 interceptions.
And that doesn't count all the fumbles. I saw a game this year where he fumbled the shotgun snap 4 times, just
Yes.
dropped it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
good
That's
luck to
right.
him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I agree with that. So, but otherwise, and also one of Alabama's coaches, Coleman Hutzler, on their defensive staff, he was
He used to
special
be here.
teams. Yeah, an outside linebacker. He is going to Mississippi State as their D coordinator.
And what's interesting is he's never called a defensive play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. That's a good point. Well, and people may not have heard this. This is rather unusual, but Alabama's quarterback who played in the South Florida game, Tyler Buckner, is transferring out to go to Notre Dame as a lacrosse player, not a football player, lacrosse. So, and a lot of people will say he'll probably be more of a that will probably be a better fit for him as he does that too. Auburn got a 5-star wide receiver, Cam Coleman, from A&M. So, and he is in the state championship game, was one of the stars for his team. And I know that we've got Marty coming up. And by the way, this afternoon, St. Augustine plays for the state title. So good luck to them and some of these other Jacksonville area schools who'll be playing for one.
Yeah, before we let you go, Brent, I want you to hear this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. On this day in 1985, the Heisman Trophy went to a dude named Bo Jackson. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. But here's what also happened on this day in sports. In 1996, think about what happened on this day. The Mighty Gators, number 4 in America, beat Alabama in the championship game 45-30. But more importantly, in the first Big 12 championship game on this day, Texas beat number 3 Nebraska 37-27, which kind of led to that helped the Gators. And then I want to say then when we got to the bowl game, that's the same time when Arizona State, did they get upset or they upset somebody else? I can't remember, but it allowed us to play for the national title.
Yeah.
Against FSU.
See, that was, and that happened back then, and we usually have a bunch of upsets in the championship games or right before the championship games, but that did not happen this year. That's also why we unfortunately we had a team in Florida State that was left out, is because we had more undefeated teams than we've ever had before at the end of the season.
Yeah. Brent, I want to get your thoughts on this before we let you go too. Michael on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, Shane, it is a bit disconcerting that Napier hasn't made his staff hires yet. As compared to last year, does it seem like he moves too slow with this process? Doesn't this hurt us short term? I don't know who he's hiring, but if he could possibly be hiring people that are under contract right now or with teams, and they can't publicly announce it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, there are a lot of coaches though that will. A lot of these coaches will not make hires until signing day is over. So I mean, it just that if they've got somebody, they'll try to bring them in. Obviously, it helps them to have a full staff before signing day, and also with the portal. But sometimes you just can't do that, and sometimes they've got enough confidence in their staff to where they will just wait and see what else opens up, or they may have a situation where in 2 weeks this guy's going to be ready to be hired, but right now he's not. So I'm sure you've seen that, Shane, in your travels, that at different times you can hire people. So look, I get the question. It's a good question, but sometimes you just, for whatever it is, you got circumstances going on, you just can't have a full staff just right there when you need it at the end of the year.
Yeah. All right. David says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, Shane, we should not coddle guys who leave for money via the portal. Leaving for playing time is different. Going to the NFL draft is different. Dropping us for portal money is unacceptable. You are Gator bait, Princely, and disrespect for us letting you wear number 1 jersey of our precious brand. So I'm glad they brought up that number 1 thing. I do not understand the whole number 1 thing. It was not a big deal when I played here. You got your number and that's what you wore, or you got to pick which number you want. I'm not in favor of this number 1 thing. I don't get it. Somebody can fill me in on where this came from with the Florida Gators, because that was not a thing when I played here.
Yeah.
Everybody, tailbacks that like number 21 wore number 21, like Fred Taylor, he wore 21. Eret wore 33. Emmett wore 22. This whole number 1 thing, I'm just not familiar with it at all. So I think
some players would rather have. Yeah, some players would rather wear 0 instead of 1.
Yeah, I actually think number 0 is cooler than number 1, but I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So anyway, Brent, appreciate your time. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week, my man.
Yep, can't wait, bud. Thank you.
That's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Join us on the Titan Elmore Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. We're going to take a quick time out, come back. We should be joined by marvelous Marty Pallman from theprepzone.com, talking high school state championship games that start today. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. We're still waiting on Marty Pallman to join us here on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Hopefully he'll be chiming in here soon. In the meantime, let me send this number here. We got a couple of texts here I need to get to after I send this text message. Bear with me, folks. All right, there we go. All right. John says on Facebook Live, number 1 for the Gators is supposed to be kind of like LSU with number 18. I don't think LSU has a really there's a lot of history with number 18. The number 1 thing for us is just absolutely dumb, in my opinion. So anyway, back in our day, I mean, we had Jack Jackson were number 1. I think Keywan Ratliff wore it, but it was just because that was the number they chose. It had nothing to do with we're going to give this number to that player. Crazy. Ray on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Plum, says, I have heard that Billy simply does not have what it takes coming from a second-rate league, and he should have won more games with what he had last season. Do you think he needs to learn fast? Well, I mean, that's obvious. If we don't have 2 silly plays, I think we win at least 7 games. The Missouri and Arkansas games are just unacceptable, the way you lost those games. Radware is a family-led owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Let's see what that text was here. Oh, it's a text from George telling me number 1 goes to the most explosive or best player on the Gators. I disagree with that. I don't even know what that's all about. Old Florida Gator said, I thought Jack Jackson wore number 5. No, he wore number 1. Kwesi wore number 5. Kwesi wore number 12 and then went to number 5 after a year or so. Andy says the Steelers-Patriot game tonight might cure insomnia. The over-under is 30.5, which is the lowest over-under in the NFL in 30 years. Wow. Yeah, I got 2 bad. I think you got Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi. Yeah, some struggling offenses, those 2 teams. And watch it turn into a 35-30 game somehow. Joseph says, it's a team. There is no number 1. No one player is more important than the team. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Joseph, a big matchup tonight, Madison and Hawthorne. Yes, I'm hoping. We're supposed to have Marty Pallman. He's there. He's calling that game tonight. Hope to have him on and talk about it. I guess he's sleeping, getting his rest for tonight. But yeah, Madison County should be a heck of a game. Price Harris has a great team up there, as does CI and Hawthorne. They're going for back-to-back. But that should be one of the more intriguing games. Trinity Catholic plays tomorrow morning. I think they play at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is ridiculous that they're playing a game that early. Ted says, didn't Coach Spurrier assign number 11 to certain players? He brought it out of retirement for Ben Hanks. Ben went through a lot of things to get to the University of Florida. So I don't know if he did for Ben. I'm not sure after that. Maybe he did, but that's different. The whole number one thing, like I said, that it's my opinion. Everybody has their own, but I think it's absolutely stupid. Um, Unreal Master says, Shane, do you think we will have a different starting quarterback in 2024? Graham Mertz will be your starting quarterback, if that's what you're asking. Andy wants to know, can I help him understand how Trinity Catholic qualified for the playoffs when they finished 3-7? Okay, so they play in I can't even keep up with the 2S, 2R, all this stuff. So anyway, whatever league they're in, they have a district, but it was the district was them, PK Young, and I think Father Lopez out of Daytona, two programs that are struggling. So they beat those. So then they have to schedule the rest of their games, and nobody wants to play Trinity Catholic. That's like their same classification. So they have to play the Buholtzes of the world. They had to go over in Jacksonville, play people. They have to go down to Tampa. They went up to Cincinnati and played somebody. So they played a very, very difficult schedule, but their classification, they're superior than everybody in their classification in the playoffs, if that makes any sense. So that's how. Sean wants to know, will DJ Lagway play next year? I don't know. I mean, we got to wait and see. Just because what you do in high school doesn't mean anything. I will say this. The few things that I've seen on him, he's more polished thrower than Anthony was. And I know they're both dual threats, but I think he was a better thrower than Anthony was at that time. So anyway, I don't know if we're gonna have Marty or not. Yeah, the only way I think DJ plays next year if Graham Mertz gets hurt, but we'll see. Michael on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Phone, says, "Hear me out. Move Russ Callaway to OC. Bring Cornelius Ingram on the staff to coach tight ends." Cornelius may not want to do that. Think about that. I would love to coach college football. Not in today's world, though. Not with all the mess you got to deal with. It's a mess. Yeah, Percy wore one. Jack Jackson wore one. Let me get this text message here. Oh, Marty is just getting into Tallahassee, I guess. Okay, so maybe he'll be calling in. Got a text here on the Titan Mar text line from Robert. He must just be chiming in because I talked about it. He says, Shane, can you give me your thoughts on Princely going into the portal? I just don't understand it. Princely's a good football player. I think he wants to try to go play at Alabama or Georgia. I don't know if he's good enough to play there or start there. He may be a really good guy in passing situations to go in. I think he's going for more money. I don't know what he's making here. That's just my 2 cents. So I don't know. I mean, it's just what it is now. People go into the portal to see how much money they can get and go elsewhere. We're not the only schools having that issue. And I know a lot of people are wanting us to make more moves in the portal or make a move in the portal. It just depends on how much money we have allocated for the portal and for certain positions. And do those kids want to come play here or do they want to go elsewhere? I mean, that's kind of what it is. Swift says the number one came from the urban time with us. I guess. I don't know. I think it's silly. That's just me. All right, we got marvelous Marty Pallman, who is joining us on the Titan Amara hotline, courtesy of Duff Hill Home Improvements. And we're going to do a little Baker Sporting Goods High School roundup. Marvelous, how you doing, my man? Appreciate you taking the time to join our program.
Yeah, sorry, running around here, opening day of the state finals here in FAMU. First time we've been here, and everybody's trying to figure out where we're going. So sorry I'm a little bit late. But I'm here live from Tallahassee getting ready for some football this morning and this afternoon.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes here, Marty. The main game today, I would say Hawthorne, Madison County. What do you think in that game?
Yes. Ooh, it's going to be a battle there because I think these are have been the two best teams all year in that rural classification. Used to be 1A, now it's 1R. These two teams played 2 years ago here for the state title. Madison County won by 1 point. And that's the last time Hawthorne's lost. I mean, they've won 24 in a row, defending state champions. Honestly, while this Madison team is pretty good, this Hawthorne team is really good. And they're defensively, it's just tough to get anything against them. And in the postseason, they've seen it again. They kind of shut down Williston's high-powered offense. They had a shutout last week. So I don't know. I have to, if I had to say based on the defense and what's going on, I think Hawthorne's going to win this game. And also, I think they're motivated because that was the last team to beat them, even though it was 2 years ago. They want to be perfect again. And that's even what CI said last week when I talked to him. He said, oh, yeah, we've been thinking about that. So I think Hawthorne will win tonight. It's going to be cold, but I don't know if that'll affect much of anything between those two teams.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, Trinity Catholic's playing for another state title, as well as Bradford. Now, Bradford's got their hands full with Cocoa, I think it is. But Trinity Catholic, has a losing record, I think.
Yes.
But it's played a very difficult schedule. But how do you see them? Do you think they can pull it off tomorrow?
Well, I think based on that schedule and the fact that they've already won a couple of games on the road, I think they're battle tested as Trinity Catholic. They made it here last year too and lost in the championship game here in Tallahassee. So they made it back. I'm sure there's going to be, that's going to be on John Brantley's mind there, the coach at Trinity Catholic. But I think they got a good shot. And you're right. If they win, they'll end up 7-7 in state champs. But who cares about the record because they'll be state champions. And Bradford, yeah, Cocoa knocked Bradford out of the playoffs a year ago in the state semifinals. This year they're meeting in the championship game, and Bradford's predicated on defense. I mean, they've only, I think, allowed more than 14 points once this year, but this is going to be the biggest test they've had so far in Cocoa, even though Bradford had to go double overtime against Pensacola Catholic last week to rally and make it to the state championship game here tomorrow.
Marty, are you calling every state championship game?
No. Just doing Hawthorne tonight. We'll have that on the air in Gainesville. But other than that, I'm here just checking it out. Valley Sports is carrying it. Fox Sports Florida and Sun, that it used to be called. They'll be carrying it through the state of Florida. So that's where you can watch it.
So all the classifications are being played at FAMU, correct?
Yes, they've got all of them here now. All
Good
9.
gracious.
So there's 3. Yeah,
That's
we got a game in an hour.
That's a long trip for the boys down in the Miami area.
Well, yeah, and I agree. The first game here is a team from Hollywood, from Broward County. Chaminade Madonna is playing Clearwater Central Catholic at 10 a.m. And you're right, it is a long trip for those teams coming up here. But also the weather is not exactly South Florida weather. It's in the 30s right now here in Tallahassee. But, yeah, it's interesting. They're going to have 3 games a day at 10, 3, and 8. It's going to be busy, and 9 classifications. They get it done in 3 days this year, so that's what we're looking forward to. This first time we've had it at Florida A&M. It's been at Florida State before at Doak Campbell. Last couple of years at Gene Cox Stadium here in Tallahassee.
Well, Marty, we appreciate you taking the time. I know it's crazy there being the first time at FAMU. Let everybody know if they want to listen to the Hawthorne game tonight against Madison County, how they can listen to it.
We'll be on the air 106.9 FM in Gainesville, and I'm countryradio.com. And Mike Rideout will be joining me along with Hank Roan tonight. We'll have the broadcast 7:30, a pregame 8 o'clock is the kickoff here, Hawthorne and Madison County. Looking forward to it tonight. It's going to be a good game.
Have fun, buddy. Appreciate it, Marty.
Thanks, Shane.
That's Marty Pallman joining us on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Ruzoga State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.